If you're over 70 and the first few steps out of bed feel stiff, shaky, heavy, or strangely uncertain, I want you to hear this very clearly. That may not be just old age. In many cases, it's a signal that the muscles and circulation systems you rely on for balance, walking, energy, and independence are not being switched on in the right order. And here's the surprising part. For many older adults, forcing yourself to walk first is not always the smartest first move. Sometimes one simple exercise done in bed can prepare your body better than a walk ever could. I'm Dr. Thomas Reynolds, and if you've ever felt frustrated because you're trying to stay active but your body seems to resist you in the morning, or after sitting too long, or on days when your legs feel weak and your lower back feels tight, this video is for you. I've spent years talking with older adults who thought they were losing more than strength. They feared they were losing trust in their own body, trust in their legs, trust in their balance, trust in whether they could keep doing the small daily things that make life feel like their own. So today, I want to show you one exercise I recommend over and over again for adults in their 70s and beyond. It's simple, it's gentle, it can be done on your bed, and if you do it consistently, it may help support circulation, hip strength, lower back comfort, balance, confidence, and even the quality of the way you walk afterward. And yes, I said afterward, because this is not about declaring war on walking. Walking is still valuable, but walking works best when the body underneath it is ready. If the engine is cold, the joints are stiff, the hips are asleep, and the blood flow is sluggish, walking may turn into a compensation pattern instead of a strengthening one. That's where this bed exercise comes in. The exercise is a gentle bed bridge, or if lifting is difficult for you, it begins as a heel press and glute squeeze. That's it. Nothing fancy. No equipment. No complicated routine. Just a movement that wakes up the backside of your body, the part many older adults stop using well without even realizing it. And I want you to stay with me, because in a moment I'll explain why this movement affects much more than your hips. It can influence the pump in your legs, the support system around your spine, the muscles that help you stand from a chair, and the deep stability that can make walking feel smoother and safer. I'll also show you exactly how to do it, what mistakes to avoid, and how to modify it if you're dealing with pain, stiffness, weakness, or fear of movement. Because when you're over 70, the goal is not simply to exercise, the goal is to keep your freedom. Now let's talk about why this one movement can be so powerful. Most people think walking is the most natural answer to weakness. Just walk more, walk every day, keep moving. And that advice is not wrong, but it's incomplete. Because many older adults do walk, yet they still struggle with getting out of bed, rising from a chair, climbing stairs, standing upright, or feeling steady when they turn. Why? Because walking can hide weakness. You can walk using momentum. You can walk using mostly your thighs. You can walk with a shortened stride, a tilted pelvis, a tight lower back, and sleepy glute muscles. You can walk while your body quietly compensates, and compensation works for a while, until one day it doesn't. The gentle bed bridge targets one of the most overlooked problems in aging bodies, the loss of posterior strength. That means the muscles on the backside of you, your glutes, hamstrings, and the support system around your hips and trunk. Think of these muscles as the rear engine of your body when that engine becomes weak or inactive. The front side starts doing too much. Your thighs grip, your lower back strains, your posture collapses a little, your steps shorten, your confidence drops, and because this happens gradually, many seniors assume it's simply their age catching up with them. But common does not mean untouchable. When you lie in bed and gently press your heels down, tighten your buttocks, brace your abdomen, and lift your hips just a little, several important things happen at once. First, you activate the muscles that help you stand tall. Second, you create a gentle pumping effect through the legs and pelvis that may help support circulation after a long night of stillness. Third, you begin to restore communication between the brain and the lower body. That last part matters more than people realize. As we age, The problem is not only muscle loss, it's signal loss. The message from brain to muscle can become weaker, slower, less efficient. It's like having good lamps in the house, but poor wiring. The bridge helps turn the wiring back on. It reminds your body where the hips are, where the spine is, where the center of control is. And when those signals improve, movement often feels less scattered and more secure. That's one reason this exercise can feel so surprisingly effective. Let's go a little deeper. One of the first things many adults notice after 70 is that the legs don't feel as lively. The feet swell more easily. The calves feel tight. The first steps can feel wooden. Sometimes there's heaviness, especially after sleeping, after sitting, or on days when activity has been low. Part of that is joint stiffness. Part of it is muscle inactivity. And part of it is circulation. Your body depends on movement to move fluid well. Blood and lymph don't just magically zip around at full speed when you lie still 4 hours. The muscles help pump them. When those muscles are not active enough, especially in the lower body, everything can feel slow, puffy, and tired. The bridge doesn't replace the heart, of course, but it can help recruit the muscles that support return flow from the lower body. In plain English, it helps your legs stop feeling like stagnant water and start behaving more like a moving stream, and that matters for energy. Because poor circulation doesn't just affect swelling, it affects how tissues are supplied, it affects how awake your legs feel, it affects how ready your body feels to move. When older adults describe that strange feeling of needing time to get going, this is often part of the story. Now here's the second reason this exercise matters. So much, it wakes up the hips, and the hips are central to independence. If I could pick one area of the body that predicts struggle in later years, it would be the hips and everything they control. Strong hips help you rise from a chair, step into a bathtub, recover from a wobble, turn safely, climb a step, carry groceries, get off the toilet without using your arms too much. Even something as simple as standing to put on pants depends more on hip control than many people realize. When the glutes weaken, the body starts borrowing from the wrong places. The knees take more load. The lower back tightens. The posture bends forward. A person may not say, "My glutes are weak." They say, "I'm slower now," or "My balance isn't good," or "My back goes out," or "I need the armrests more." This is why the bed bridge can be so effective. It goes straight to the source. And if you're thinking, that sounds like an exercise for younger people, not at all. In fact, one reason I like it for seniors is that it reduces the challenge of gravity and balance while still asking the right muscles to do their job. In standing exercises, fear can interfere, pain can interfere, balance anxiety can interfere. But in bed, the body often relaxes enough to relearn. That relearning is powerful. And before I show you exactly how to do it, let me share the third reason this movement is so valuable after 70. It supports the lower back without asking the lower back to dominate the movement. Older adults are often caught in a frustrating cycle. The back feels stiff, so they move less. Because they move less, the hips get weaker. Because the hips get weaker, the back has to work harder. Then the back feels even worse. It becomes a loop. The bridge can help interrupt that loop. When done correctly, this exercise teaches the hips to produce the lift, not the lower back. The abdomen gently supports, the buttocks gently drive, the spine stays controlled. You are not trying to arch dramatically. You are not trying to perform like a gymnast. You are simply creating a small, calm lift from a stable base. Think of it like repairing the support beams under a porch. If the beams are weak, the whole structure starts creaking. Strengthen the beams, and the surface becomes more dependable. That is what this movement may help do for the lower back and pelvis. And here is the fourth reason I love this exercise. It can help improve the quality of walking, not just substitute for it. That's the hidden truth many seniors are never told. Good walking is not just about putting one foot in front of the other. Good walking depends on push-off, hip extension, trunk stability, pelvic control, and rhythm. If those ingredients are missing, a person may still walk, but with more shuffling, more sway, more fatigue, and more strain. So when I say this bed exercise can be better than walking, what I mean is this. For some older adults, especially first thing in the morning or during recovery, or when balance feels unreliable, this one movement may prepare the body more intelligently than simply forcing a walk on a body that isn't organized yet. It primes the system. It turns the lights on before the house gets busy. And that brings me to the fifth reason this matters. Maybe the most human reason of all. It restores confidence. Confidence is not vanity in older age. Confidence is function. Confidence is safety. Confidence is dignity. When a person stops trusting their legs, they start shrinking their life. They hold furniture, they skip outings, they avoid stairs, they hesitate before showers, they say no more often, not because they want less life, but because they feel less certain inside it. A small daily exercise can seem minor from the outside, but from the inside it sends a message. I am still participating in my own strength. I am not waiting passively for decline. I am giving my body a reason to respond. And if you're watching right now, I'd love for you to leave a comment and tell me your age, or where you're watching from, or whether mornings or evenings are harder on your body. I always say healing is easier when people feel less alone, and so many older adults reading those comments realize they're not the only one dealing with stiffness, fatigue, swelling, or shaky first steps. Now let me show you exactly how to do this exercise. Lie on your back in bed. If lying flat is uncomfortable, use a pillow under your head, and if needed, a small folded towel under the knees to start. Bend both knees so your feet are flat on the mattress, about hip width apart. Bring your heels reasonably close to your body, but not so close that you feel cramped. Let your arms rest. By your sides, before you lift anything, do this first. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Then exhale gently and tighten your abdomen just a little, as if you were preparing for someone to tap you lightly in the stomach. Not a hard brace, just a gentle support. Now press your heels down into the mattress. As you do that, squeeze your buttocks softly and lift your hips only a few inches. That's all. You do not need a big lift. Small and controlled is better than high and sloppy. Hold for one slow breath, maybe two. Then lower down slowly, rest and repeat. If lifting your hips feels too difficult or you're nervous, begin with the foundation version. Stay flat, press the heels into the bed, tighten the buttocks, hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Relax, that alone can start waking up the correct muscles. If you can do the lift comfortably, try 5 repetitions at first, then work toward 8, eventually 10. 1 or 2 rounds may be plenty. This is not about exhaustion, it is about activation. Now, there are 3 common mistakes I want you to avoid. The first is pushing with the back instead of the hips. If you feel pinching in the lower back, reduce the height. Think less about lifting up and more about pressing through the heels and lengthening the knees away from you slightly as the hips float. The second mistake is holding your breath. Breath holding increases tension and can make the movement feel harder than it needs to. Keep the face soft. Keep the jaw relaxed. Breathe. The third mistake is rushing. Older muscles often respond better to calm, deliberate repetition than fast, jerky effort. Slow tells the nervous system. This is safe, and safety is what allows good movement to return. If you have knee discomfort, adjust the distance of the feet. If you have hip arthritis, a smaller lift is often better. If you have osteoporosis, spine problems, recent surgery, uncontrolled pain, or you've been told to avoid certain movements, check with your physician or physical therapist before starting. There is no shame in modifying. The goal is not perfection. The goal is usefulness. Now, one question I often hear is this: when should I do it? My favorite time is before you get out of bed, or after long periods of sitting, or in the evening if your legs feel heavy and your back feels tight. Think of it as a reset button, a way to prepare the body before asking more from it. And here's what many older adults notice when they stay consistent: not overnight miracles, not fantasy, but little shifts. The first steps may feel less stiff. Standing up may feel smoother. The back may feel more supported. Walking afterward may feel more upright. The legs may feel more awake. And over time, those little shifts can turn into something bigger, less fear, more ease, more willingness to move. That is how real improvement often looks in later life, quiet at first, then meaningful. And if you're finding this helpful, this is a good moment to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like, because every week I share simple, medically grounded strategies to help you stay mobile, sharp, steady, and independent for as long as possible. Not hype, not false promises, just practical guidance that respects what aging really feels like. Now, there's one more important thing to understand. This exercise works best when you stop thinking of it as just an exercise. It is not just a movement. It is a message to the body. Use your hips, support your spine, wake up your legs, improve the signal, prepare to move well. That is why consistency matters more than intensity. A short, gentle daily practice often helps more than an occasional burst of ambition followed by soreness and discouragement. Especially after 70, the body responds beautifully to regular reminders. Small signals, repeated often. That's how strength returns. That's how confidence returns. That's how independence is protected. So if all you can do right now is 5 gentle heel presses and 3 small bridges before getting out of bed, start there. If walking feels hard, don't assume your body is failing you. It may simply be asking for a better starting sequence. And for many older adults, this is that sequence. A final word from me to you. If you've been afraid that stiffness means decline, if you've been wondering whether weakness means you're slowly losing control of your body, I want to remind you of something important. Aging changes the body. Yes, muscles shrink more easily. Recovery takes longer. Joints can get stiffer. Balance requires more attention. But change is not the same as surrender. The body still listens. It still adapts. It still responds to wise, consistent care. And sometimes the most powerful place to begin is not with a long walk, a complicated routine, or a punishing workout. Sometimes it begins right where you are, in your bed, with one simple movement, one signal, one decision to stay involved in your own future, because independence is not built in giant moments. It is built in small, daily acts that keep you strong enough to live your life on your terms. So try this exercise gently. Stay consistent. Pay attention to how your first steps feel afterward. And remember, you are not trying to become someone younger. You are trying to become someone steadier, stronger, safer, and more confident in the body you have today. If this message spoke to you, leave a comment below and tell me if you're going to try the bed bridge, or what part of aging mobility has been hardest for you lately. I read those comments and they help shape what I teach next. And if you want more senior health guidance you can actually use, subscribe and join me in the next video. Take care of yourself, move with patience, and never underestimate what one small habit can do for the rest of your life.